African American history is a vibrant tapestry woven with the threads of resilience, courage, and triumph. It spans centuries marked by struggle, injustice, and perseverance, yet it also radiates with the brilliance of creativity, intellect, and cultural richness. From the shores of West Africa to the bustling streets of modern-day America, the story of African Americans is one of profound significance, encompassing struggles against slavery, segregation, and systemic racism, as well as achievements in art, literature, politics, and social justice. In this exploration, we delve into the depths of African American history, unraveling its complexities, celebrating its triumphs, and acknowledging its ongoing quest for equality and justice. The history of African Americans begins long before the arrival of Europeans on the shores of the Americas. Africa, a continent of diverse cultures and civilizations, is the ancestral homeland of millions of enslaved Africans forcibly transported across the Atlantic Ocean during the transatlantic slave trade. It is crucial to recognize the rich tapestry of cultures, languages, and traditions that existed within various African societies prior to colonization and enslavement. From the ancient kingdoms of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai to the sophisticated societies of the Yoruba, Igbo, and Ashanti, Africa's history is one of innovation, trade, and cultural exchange. The transatlantic slave trade, which lasted for over 4 centuries, represents one of the darkest chapters in human history. European powers, driven by economic greed and racial prejudice, established a brutal system of forced labor that decimated African societies and reshaped the demographics of the Americas. Millions of Africans were forcibly captured, transported across the Atlantic in deplorable conditions, and sold into bondage in the New World. The legacy of slavery continues to reverberate through African American communities, shaping social, economic, and cultural dynamics to this day. Despite the horrors of slavery, African Americans never ceased to resist oppression and assert their humanity. From slave rebellions and acts of sabotage to covert resistance and escape through the Underground Railroad, enslaved individuals demonstrated remarkable resilience and courage in the face of adversity. The abolitionist movement, fueled by both black and white activists, played a pivotal role in challenging the institution of slavery and advocating for its abolition. The Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 and the eventual ratification of the 13th Amendment marked significant milestones in the quest for freedom, yet the struggle for full equality was far from over. The period following the Civil War, known as Reconstruction, witnessed the promise of freedom and citizenship for formerly enslaved individuals. African Americans actively participated in the political process, holding elected office and advocating for civil rights reforms. However, the backlash from white supremacists led to the rise of Jim Crow laws, which enforced racial segregation and perpetuated systemic discrimination across the South. The era of lynching, voter suppression, and economic disenfranchisement inflicted profound trauma and injustice upon African American communities, underscoring the enduring legacy of racism in American society. Despite the challenges of segregation and discrimination, the early 20th century witnessed a cultural renaissance known as the Harlem Renaissance. Centered in the vibrant neighborhood of Harlem, New York City, this period saw an explosion of artistic creativity and intellectual ferment among African American writers, musicians, artists, and intellectuals. Figures such as Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Duke Ellington, and Jacob Lawrence made indelible contributions to literature, music, and visual arts, challenging stereotypes and reshaping perceptions of African American identity. The civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s stands as a watershed moment in African American history, galvanizing mass mobilization against racial segregation and discrimination. Led by towering figures such as Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and Fannie Lou Hamer, the movement employed nonviolent protests, legal challenges, and grassroots organizing to dismantle Jim Crow laws and secure equal rights under the law. Landmark achievements such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 marked significant victories, paving the way for greater social and political inclusion.